Welcome to the Profit by Design podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Sabrina Starling, and today I am joined by Abby, Trent, and Laurie from Collected Living Design. And we are here to talk about how you take a growing business and turn it into a business that really supports your life. Abby, Trent, and Laurie have been on this journey with us at Tap the Potential about a year and a half now. And they have really done some incredible things with their business. And I think one of the things that has been most incredible is how each of them is growing as a human being personally in this journey. And some of the life lessons that come through the business and the experience. And so I am going to just open this up for a conversation, and I want to share a couple of highlights about their journey. So they're three business owners. They're all partners in the business. And um, Trent was able to take 4 weeks off when his baby was born a couple months ago. And Laurie just took 2 weeks and went to France. And so even though there's a lot of things, a lot of moving parts in the business, I think sometimes probably feels very chaotic to all three of you. You are getting things organized and creating order and creating systems, and at the same time, you're able to enjoy life. So I just want to open up this discussion and just ask you, what are some of over the last year and a half, what have been some of the biggest surprises for you?
I think when I started with Laurie several years ago, we had just had our first child. And so Vera was, I think, 2 months old, maybe. And I was talking to a friend of mine who had been working for himself for a long time. And I was asking him, like, should I do this? I don't know. I take the step out. He was like, no, don't do this. Like, you have babies, you're going to have more kids. Like, this is a terrible time to start a business. You should not do this. And looking back now, I could see why he would say that, because the tendencies that I definitely had in the first couple of years before starting coaching, and I think most people have, is to just like take ownership of everything and make sure every detail is run through you and you are ensuring the success of every piece. And you just feel that sense of responsibility. And so I think the surprising part has been for me going through the coaching is just how much opportunity there is to run a business that isn't that way. Because when we started, it kind of felt like, I remember even asking when we were kind of onboarding, like, okay, are you guys going to actually tell us what to do though? Because we don't know how to do this. It felt impossible. And we were going in like hoping, but like we didn't see a path. And so that's been the surprising part for me, has just been that it is possible to step back, that it is possible to have work-life balance and be a small business owner.
That's incredible.
I think the surprising part for me has just been just the amount of work that it takes to get to like setting up processes and systems, because that's kind of your key to not having to do every tiny thing yourself. And those are just the things that you don't think about when you hit the ground running. And because, we started off each doing all the work ourselves. And so it's a huge mind shift to turn from you are the business and you do all the work to then hiring people. And what does it look like when you hire people and try to scale? It just looks really different from when you first start and you're alone.
It's a whole new skill set to learn how to hire, how to lead. And both you and Trent have touched on that. Most of us who are business owners and who succeed, especially in construction, design, in that industry, there's a streak of perfectionism where we want everything just right. And so we want to hold that control. And so I really hear both of you speaking to that process of learning how to let go of control so that things can be better. Because if you hold the control, things just get worse and worse and worse.
Yeah, I saw I think it was actually a podcast, but the guy was saying like your success in business when you first start out and it's just you is so dependent on you and being able to do a thing really well. And then to scale, your success depends on your ability to unlearn every habit that you just learned to become successful. It's like if you can do that, then you can scale. And if you can't, you will die and burn out.
Yes. Yes. I think about that in terms of what got you here will not get you there. And if we continue running our business with the same mindset and skills when we started it, we cannot grow. We will cap what we're capable of, and we will absolutely burn out. So
yeah, I have like so much of my decision making is run by fear, which I'm working on, but that like is so scary to let go of the things that worked, that got you where you are. These things got me to where I can hire someone. Why would I abandon them once I hire someone?
Yeah.
And it's scary. It's definitely like you have to have faith or something or someone else saying like, this is what you need to do to take that step, because it feels so counterintuitive.
yeah. So Abby, how about for you? What's been most surprising about this journey so far in the last year and a half?
That I really enjoy doing more of the owner things than I do even the design. Like when we started, it was all design, it was all art, it was all, and when we came through this process, I've really enjoyed digging into the numbers or the future or all these things. And I was constantly surprised. I thought for a while that it was because I was failing at design, and realized quickly that, or not quickly, over the past year, that it's not because I'm failing at design, it's because I found something I enjoy better and that I'm probably better at. So I've been very surprised by that.
Yeah. So I love that, because part of this journey is about discovering what our strengths are and what our gifts are. And sometimes we are doing things in the business that we enjoy and they're fine. But then we realize there's other areas that the business needs us, and we actually have a strength in that area to be able to serve the business. And so it again, it speaks to what Trent was saying before. Sometimes we're shifting our skill sets. And sometimes it's very enjoyable to do that. I'm really curious, what's been the hardest for each of you?
I am oh man, we have talked about this. I have a really hard time letting go of the control. And it's funny because I don't think of myself as like a controlling person, but if I don't understand it, I have such a hard time getting on board with the plan. And I think part of that like does me good in a lot of areas of my life because I'm cautious and I'm thorough and I'm all of these things that protect me. But I would say that's probably been the hardest, is just like trusting other people to input, advice or whatever, wisdom into these things that are really going to affect me. They are not inconsequential things. Yeah. They are my business. They are my livelihood. They are my employees' livelihoods. And to say like, I know that feels right, but this is what you need. That has been the hardest part for me, is just going like, okay, I don't get it, but I'm going to choose to do it anyway. And hopefully you're right.
So you really had to put a lot of trust and faith in us and this process to just let go and start trying.
And I mean, one of the things I love about what we do at Tap the Potential is like, it's not just you guys on the hilltop telling me what's going to work. It's also other people in the grind going like, I know it's so hard. I was just there last year and we had to do it too. And now it's working great. it's much easier for me to be like, okay, at least there is a case study of somebody saying, they've been there. And it's easy, I feel like, to feel like this unicorn that has these super unique challenges and problems. The longer I'm in it, the more I realize, like, no, we're pretty much the same as everybody else in terms of the challenges we face. They may manifest a little differently, but business is business to some degree. So,
Yes.
Yes, learning to trust for sure.
Well, and I love what you said about having others who've gone before you who are showing you what's possible.
Yeah.
And that's why we have you guys here today with us to share and inspire others with what's possible, that you really can have a business that gives you life and opportunities to enjoy your life away from work. And that is it's a real possibility. Laurie, how about for you? What's been the hardest?
I think I naturally do not have a bent towards like being like a visionary or thinking a ton about the future, because I just get so caught up on like, I'm a really great task person. We do the people map here at Tap the Potential, and task is my top one. And so I have a hard time like kind of setting aside time to stop and think about a vision or future or set goals. I was just like never a good goal setter. And so that's been hard because it's so doesn't come naturally to me. But I've appreciated the time and space that you all have kind of forced us into doing that. And because I see the value in it, it's just, I think that just happens to not be one of my strengths.
Mhm.
And luckily it is more so for Trent and Abby. So, but that's just been hard for me to like, I just never would have done it. If it would have just been me and I wouldn't be in a coaching program like this, I just never would have done it. And that's probably true for so many other things too. But that especially is not my natural tendencies. So,
And I think that's part of what's beautiful about this process that we take you through at Tap the Potential is you're learning what your strengths are and what they're not. And that it's okay to just say, that's not my strength. Trent and Abby, they got that. And to really learn how to lean on each other as a team in that way. And because if we don't recognize something as a strength or an Achilles heel, we can beat up on ourselves. Like it could have been very easy for you to say, I'm just not cut out for all this business stuff because they want me to do that visioning thing. And I can't think in that way. And now you're saying, it's just not my strength. Trent, Abby have it. I don't like doing it. I do other things.
Yep. That's 100% it.
Permission to just be yourself in the process. Abby, what's been hardest for you?
Honestly, that permission to be ourselves, I think, has been hard for me to continually go back and be like that. What you just said about these are your strengths and these are your, like, I constantly beat myself up on the things that I'm not naturally good at. And so I think it's been hard for me to constantly work past that and get to a point where these are the things I'm good at. These are the things that I enjoy doing. They can be the bulk of my work. And so I've been working on that even still. So
amazing. So Abby, you have something really important that you wanted to share about your experience at Tap the Potential around what we've worked on. That we talk a lot about efficiency and creating efficiency in the business, but you said it's so much more than just efficiency. Would you elaborate a little bit more on that for us?
Yeah, I think when we first started the business and like even before we merged, everything was how can we get to this efficient, like get all of our processes down, get everything super streamlined. And that is very important. Like that's something that we're still working on here, and it's helping free us up a little bit. But I think if we stop thinking of it just as how can we make our business the most efficient it can be, if we focus on how can we make our work-life balance or our time away from home, like how can we make that all of our focus, then some of these processes or people that we hire or whatever will come out of us wanting to make our personal life like a priority and make it important. So I think we've worked really hard in the last year of like, what can we do at work to make sure that we have the freedom and flexibility to think about our own personal lives and the things that we're interested in and our hobbies and things like that. And I think Tap the Potential has given us all kind of that, well, more than just given us the freedom, but kind of pushed us into thinking about what is our hobby? What do we want to work on outside of work? What, how much, I know one of Laurie's accountability was like, how much time a week are you going to spend on something other than work and that you enjoy? And those are questions we wouldn't necessarily want to ask ourselves because you don't feel like it's okay as business owners to be focusing on that because maybe that means you don't care about the business as much or something to that effect. So I think overall it means that you can be a better business owner if you're focusing on things outside of just the business.
Absolutely. It's almost like the more the bigger your life gets away from the business, the better the business gets because of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you get deeper, like your own personal journey gets like more fulfilled all around or something to where then you have the mental capacity to think about work in a different way and more like you're enjoying life. So you're enjoying your work also.
Yeah. It makes work fun again.
Mm-hmm.
Trent, you said that you've really been surprised about what we've pushed on at Tap the Potential.
Yeah, I think it's just counterintuitive, and a lot of the value I found from coaching comes from like knowing what questions to ask, because it's way less straightforward than I assumed it would be to run a business. It's not just this obvious path of like, we'll just do this, this, and this, and then you'll be great. There's a lot of like, how I've described it to friends in the past is like these local maximums or local ceilings that you feel like, man, if we just get to that point, we'll be good. And then you get there and you're like, oh, no. Turns out once you get there, you realize you have to do this.
New
like
problem.
If we could just hire someone to handle our project management, everything would be so much better. Then you hire the project manager and you're like, oh, now we have to figure out how to manage people.
Yeah.
We didn't even know that was a problem before. And so I think that's been the pushing has come from different angles than I expected. And it doesn't always feel intuitive, but again, you're seeing not only the expertise of the coaches, but also the other people in group having been there and saying like, hey, your real value comes here. Your health as a business owner is important. Your balance of life and work is important. And it all comes back to your business. It all will flow down to your business. And if you're neglecting these things, you will be worse off. The business will be worse off. You will burn out. Like, this is not sustainable. So you go in, I think, somewhat expecting like the typical, and I hate to be like that guy, but I've been through several like sales training courses, and it's like, well, how many cold calls are you making a day, and how much effort are you willing to put in? And it's not that on the ownership side. Not that stuff doesn't have value, but like if you're going to run a successful business and try to grow it, like it's not just pure numbers and effort. There are balance and health, and all of these things are important. And purpose and vision and all those like intangible. Laurie was kind of pointing out like that's just not her natural bend. Like it's hard to think about intangible things when there are so many tangible fires in front of you.
Yes. So how have you managed that, Trent and Laurie and Abby? Because man, there have been fires, but you've done all this work. So how did you navigate that?
Well, part of it is just having the accountability of knowing, like, I got group coming next week, and I'm gonna have to tell them. I'm gonna have to own up to what I did here, and so having some, having some outside accountability, because we'll do these check-ins and say, like, hey, here's what you said you were gonna do. Did you do that thing?
And
That's
one of the
pretty powerful.
things we made Trent do was turn off your email notifications on his phone after a certain time at home.
Yeah, and I did not want to do that.
He thought it would be horrible for himself.
Yeah, it's been amazing. It's like one of the best things I've done.
Say more about that. What is different for you at home when your email notifications are off?
I just didn't ever dream that it was possible to not think about work at night. And the difference of not getting that buzz or that ding, or even with the buzz and the ding off, that little red circle with the number, it just ate at my soul. And I had no idea how much mental, like,
because we of course assume it's a problem.
Yeah.
Someone's upset about something. It's a new fire we have to put out.
Because I would say, like, I'm not going to check my email, but I'd be on my computer, just whatever, watching Netflix, and I get the little, like, at the top, and all I had to see was the name of the sender, and I would spiral. Yeah. It had nothing to do with the email. It was just like, what is waiting for me? And I would obsess on it all night.
Oh my gosh, I think you're speaking straight to the heart of every business owner, Trent, as you described that. Abby and Laurie, have you guys turned off your notifications?
Well, actually, we were just talking about this on a call just right before we got on the podcast, and we're doing a lot of time tracking right now of what we're spending our time doing. So something that has popped into my mind several times in the past week even is, okay, if I'm at home and if I choose to do this, I'm going to have to clock in and do it. And it's actually stopped me from doing it because I'm like, well, yeah, that's work. And I'm technically at home in the evening, supposed to be doing whatever. So I guess I won't do it. So I've just put it off.
Oh, that's incredible. Shout out to Melissa because she's cracking the whip on you guys with the time tracking.
Yeah.
And I love that is a side effect, that it's just too painful to have to log in and accountable that you did it on the off hours. Abby, how about for you?
Oh, what was the question?
Of if you've turned off notifications.
Are you turning off?
No, I've done that. I did that a long time ago because my when I go home, if I work, I'm a little different in the fact that if I start working, like, I don't know, I couldn't do it. I stopped that when we first started with Top Potential because I was finding myself battling with depression and different things. And I needed like a cold, hard stop. So I did it for different reasons back then. Now it's just feels more empowering. Back then it felt like I was giving up and I'm like, I can't look at my computer when I leave. So now I'm glad that it's like an uptrend because back then I felt bad for doing it.
Yes, it's hard when this is hard to be a trailblazer with Work Supports Life because you stand out, you're being different. And especially when you have two other owners, you feel like, oh man, I'm somehow not carrying my weight if I'm turning off work at night. But you actually were the first one then who said, we got to do it differently. And you were role modeling, but it never feels great to be that trailblazer out there on the ledge. I'm really curious. How is life different in your personal lives because of what you're doing at Tap the Potential?
I know this about myself. Like, I am an energy limited person. So like I wake up with a certain amount of energy to get things done in the day. And once I'm out, I'm out. And so I know that before Tap the Potential, like, it was just all going to work. And I would come home dead. I would come home at a 0. And even if I didn't, work would continue all night and get me to a 0. And it's just, the difference is looking at life more holistically and saying like, and Tap Potential has made us do, like, what's your personal goal for the quarter? Like, forget about work. What's your personal goal? To say like that has value. There's not a dollar number assigned to it, but that doesn't mean it doesn't have value.
Mhm.
And that's that like maximizing profit thing that's so easy to get caught up in. Like, well, I'm not doing that because it's not making me money. And it's like, no, there's value.
Mhm.
And it's going to affect your money eventually. So I think for me, it's just being intentional. That's been the difference. I've become intentional about saving or prioritizing energy for things other than work.
Like I just went on the vacation to France and I was actually in France for 10 days, but I was gone from work for closer to 2 weeks. And just the ability to be able to really relax on that trip. And before I left, I had a few like outstanding things, and I had a little meeting, and we delegated them. And then when I was gone, I just was not worried about the work stopping. And that's just not at all what it would have been like had we not done Tap the Potential, because we would not have been pushed into creating all the things we needed to create to be able to do that. Like, so it's a twofold thing, because now our business is more systematized and we have processes and we're writing everything down so that employees can easily follow our path on our workload and how to accomplish it. And we get to have like a better mental space to take vacations and not be stressing about it the whole time. And I left feeling like, oh, I feel good about leaving. I don't feel like I'm leaving with anyone like that's going to be stuck. And I felt great when I came back because work went on, things went great, and it was just like a win-win for everybody.
That's incredible. I'm so proud of you that you didn't take your laptop on vacation and try to log in.
I didn't even take my iPad or anything.
That's amazing. Yes. Yes.
I didn't have room in my bag.
Abby, how about for you? What's different in your personal life?
I think as we're figuring out how to make the business a little like be more owner in the business and less in the weeds, I'm able to I don't know, I feel like I'm valuing myself in a different way for the business. And so when I go home, I don't feel like I have to be this stressed out mess all the time, because I've carved out a different type of I don't know exactly how to word it, but I think overall I'm better at home most of the time. I mean, we're still working on, the bringing the mental thing home. Like, I don't necessarily bring my computer home, but you still think about other things. But overall, when I'm able to leave that at work, I can go home and spend more time with my kids. And we are going camping this weekend, like doing things, getting away, and not feeling like I have to, or not feeling guilty, I guess, for doing that.
Yeah. That lack of guilt to just be able to unplug and be present and not feel guilty that somehow and I think as parents and as business owners, we can all relate to feeling like we're in multiple roles and we're trying to show up at our best all over the place. And if we show up at our best over here, we're letting somebody else down. And so just being able to let go of that guilt and say, I'm home here and I'm going to be present here, or to be at work and to say, I'm going to be present here right now. And that's easier to do because you know that you've been present at home and your family feels taken care of.
Yeah.
So Trent, you took time off. You took paternity leave when your baby was born. Tell us about that.
Yeah. Well, I think I'm a worrier by nature. I didn't have quite the same amount of peace going into the time off as Laurie did, but I think, man, for sure, like, it was so important for me to do it, and I'm so glad I did it. I don't think I could have anticipated what was going to come from it. I was doing it just kind of like we were talking earlier, out of trust more than like desire to be off. And and people saying like, we got it. And I think stepping out for that amount of time forces some change,
Mm-hmm.
and in a good way, and kind of opens your eyes to like, maybe you're the problem, it's you. As Tay would say. So I think I kind of realized like, oh, I am short circuiting this getting better by involving myself, by answering the email at 9 o'clock at night. I'm making it so that no one else will answer the email at 8 a.m. the next morning because I've already done it.
Yes.
And
Oh,
when
that's
I
a big
stop
awareness.
doing it, it's like, well, it got taken care of and I didn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
But you feel like you're helping, but you're really kind of hurting because you're short circuiting, you're taking away other people's authority to solve problems because you just do it for them. And it feels so right in the moment, but it's just a short-term play. And that was that time off makes you step back in and go like, okay, everything is fine. And there's like a couple things that need addressed, but for the most part, like, my team stepped up. They solved all these problems. They figured everything out. And I didn't have to do it. And so if I don't have to, like, man, I can reallocate my brain and time to working on the $10,000 an hour tasks, as Captain Winchell likes to tell us.
Yes.
It doesn't feel possible until you're there and see it. And then you're like, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
And I think it showed us things that were living in Trent's head that it showed us a few holes. And so that was good because then we were able to address it when he came back.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think we were in a better spot business-wise when I went on my vacation.
We hadn't started the checklist
We hadn't
yet.
started all the checklist stuff. And
Yeah.
then we had when I went on vacation. So it was different. It was like, I was like, oh, they know what to do when I'm gone. It's all written down.
And there was only like 6 weeks or 2 months between Trent being out and you guys realizing he's got a lot in his head. We've got to create some checklists. I mean, wow, you guys dove in with those checklists. We didn't realize how you were going to embrace that, but you really, you got that going. And then because of that, Laurie, had a very different experience taking your 2 weeks. Abby, I think your turn's coming up soon.
Yeah, July, I'm taking almost 2 weeks.
Awesome. And I'm assuming you're going to fully unplug too, right?
Yeah, I have to because we'll be up in Colorado. I'm not sure we'll have even a way to plug in my computer. So
that's even better, going to a remote location. So I just want to comment here at this point because I've written the book, The 4-Week Vacation, and we talk all the time about 4-week vacation. And most people think that the purpose of the 4-week vacation is to go sit on a beach somewhere and sip margaritas for 4 weeks. And everybody says, I don't need to do that.
Yeah.
And each of you has in your own way touched on a different reason why being able to take these extended times away from your business fully unplugged is important. And so during the month of July, we are running the 4-week vacation pledge-a-thon. And we want to have 100 business owners minimum pledging to take a 4-week vacation because I'll know that I've made my contribution in the world when we've had 10,000 entrepreneurs taking a 4-week vacation, because then we'll have lots of trailblazers out there showing what's possible. But the first step is pledging and really saying, I am going to set my business up so that work supports my life. And that's really what it means when you make the 4-week vacation pledge. We're not going to tell you, oh my goodness, in 12 months, you better be on a 4-week vacation or we're going to come track you down and, get the wet noodle and beat you up. It's really about saying you're making a pledge. You're saying, I want to do this. I want my work to support my life. And then we're going to reach out to the business owners who make this pledge and find out, what challenges are you anticipating as you're trying to figure out how to do this? And we're going to share resources. So I want to offer, for those of you listening, make the 4-week vacation pledge. Head on over to tapthepotential.com/pledge. If we get to 100 business owners taking the 4-week vacation pledge in the month of July, we will be giving away one free pass to the How to Hire the Best course. That's a $3,500 value. So we will be doing a drawing for that. So Abby, Trent, Laurie, anything that you want to say to encourage these business owners to go ahead and make the pledge?
I mean, you're going to come up with other questions and worries that are going to pop up. I know when we first started, we talked about the 4-week vacation. I think there were multiple different worries that were huge. And I remember Trent's was like, I don't, at that point, I don't even know if you'd taken a week off, maybe a couple days. We made him take like a Friday or something. And like now, like the worries, what would you say your biggest worry was? Just that everything was going to hit the fan and it was just not going to.
Well, I think part of it is like part of you knows that like you're way too integral and you shouldn't be. And so you're about to get exposed for all the lack of processes that you have. Yeah. But I think there's also just some like pride and hubris that comes from like, I'm the only one that can fix these problems. And it's like, no, you're not. But there's part of you that believes that. And so that's scary. I would just say to people, even if you don't fully understand how this will benefit you, trust that it will, and it will do so in ways that you can't even comprehend until you've done it. Mm-hmm. You won't regret it. There is like I'm sure there's like way better analogies, but I love analogies, so I'll throw one out there. But like you have certain maintenance you have to get done on your car. You have to get your oil changed. And like by the time you get your oil changed, it is not completely broken and your car is not running. It is maintenance. But sometimes you go get your oil changed and they're like, also, you got these problems that are coming for you fast and you better fix them. And if you don't, you're going to end up broken down on the side of the road. So good thing we did the oil change. And I feel like that's kind of what happens like here. It's like, not only is it good to get new oil or to just refresh yourself and feel like you have new vigor and passion, and give yourself a break, but like it is a chance to assess your life, assess your business. It puts a little stress test on the business. It exposes things that normally you can't see. And it's all good for you to stop and step out and go like, oh man, I don't know if I ever would have gotten to where I am now if I hadn't done it. And I feel like that will be true for 100% of people that do this. You will get benefits that you cannot think of without doing it.
That so true. So true. And I love the oil analogy, Trent. That was great. You came up with that on the fly. I'm very impressed. Laurie, how about for you? Anything you want to offer on the 4-week vacation pledge?
I think the just exposure of the things, like Trent said, you don't know what you don't know. And I think that probably stems from, for a lot of people, probably started as a solopreneur. And so you were used to doing everything yourself. So it's not from a bad place where people get into a spot where they are doing all the integral stuff for their business and maybe not shifted over to like a pure ownership like role yet. But you can't know those until you step out. Mm-hmm. And so, I had no clue because I probably didn't set any goals or have good vision, but like when I started, what it would look like to hire people or how many people I would hire or when or any of that stuff. Again, just because like I was solo, or then when I merged with Trent, we were a duo team. But so it's not from a bad place of you don't know what you don't know, but you just have to get there somehow. And for us, it's been tap the potential that got us there. So
awesome. Yeah. So anything else before we wrap up today you want to share?
I would just tell people, I hate to sound like I'm being a pitch man for tap the potential, but I will risk that.
We did not pay Trent.
Yeah, this is not sponsored.
If you've never done it, I remember calling a friend of mine saying like, he owns a business, like, have you done any coaching? Like, we're looking at doing this. It's an investment, and not just money, but our time. And I don't want to waste our time because
Yeah.
it is valuable and hard to come by. And so like, is it worth it to do this thing? And he encouraged me, and he had never been a part of Tap the Potential, but like coaching is valuable. There's value in having outside people looking in with experience and saying like, here's your blind spots that you can be aware of. It's so hard to find those on your own. And to have somebody with some authority saying like, here's your blind spots, here's what we think you should pivot, think about, ask people this question. Here's a path. You need to do the wish list interviews. You got to find your ideal client, set your vision, your mission, your purpose. Like all of these things are so integral to having a healthy business. I would encourage people we've had such a good experience with Tap the Potential, like get coaching, get help. You don't have to do it all on your own and figure this out. There is no reason to reinvent the wheel. We talk about that all the time. There's some like satisfaction that comes from like, I figured it all out on my own, but like the cost of that is just being miserable for the entire process.
You might as well just speed it up, have accountability, and move on, right? And then live a better life for longer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's worth the cost.
Post-coaching.
Time, everything, authority, price. It's worth the cost to get help. And Tap the Potential has been so crucial for us and great for us. So I would encourage people to look into it.
Thank you, Trent. And if anyone is ready to just dive into our Better Business, Better Life program, all you need to do is book a call with us and we will get you started. You can head on over to tapthepotential.com to do that. And a reminder, take the 4-week vacation pledge at tapthepotential.com/pledge. There is no charge to take the pledge, and you're going to get support from us to help you have a better business and a better life. Trent, Abby, Laurie, thank you so much for being here today and really being those trailblazers out there in the world supporting Work Supports Life, and that you can have a successful, growing business and a good life all at the same time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. We've got the recording